I hope we're live again.
Live video is starting.
Live video is starting.
We're now live! Alright,
Okay, I think we're
yes!
live now.
Okay, just a couple of attempts with some technical difficulties.
Oh, it was so
Internet
hard.
connection is
So
one of
hard
those
to get
things.
in. It was so hard to get in.
But now we're here.
And let's see, has it. Okay. The show has not started on their end yet, but we're going to have some people joining us today, some very dear friends and family from across the pond. And Lowell made this, which is beautiful. And as many of you know, Lauren and I also use art for lots of things, but PTSD is one thing I'm outright with, and that's a lot about what we're doing now, just in general life. So it's really cool. I keep it up there, and normally right under it, there's a big map of the United States, and we're like push pins all over it, but we've moved it into the hall to have a better backdrop.
You can still see our sticky notes illuminated through the white part of the flag right here. Like you can see the pink ones.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is like our mind mapping wall over here, essentially.
Very much so. Very much so. And I was reminded to talk a little louder this time, so hopefully everyone could hear me. I feel like the show
Should be
should be
starting.
starting fairly soon. They're on commercials right now. Hopefully the beginning of this video took, and you heard the introduction of our friends tuning in from London. If everyone can hear me, can you give a thumbs up?
Oh, a comment from William.
Okay, we have someone from Florida, William Stevens, saying, "Hey crew, William out here on the road in Florida helping veterans with PTSD." William, thank you for joining us. That's what we're about to do, and you're about to hear some of that. I think the radio show is about to start, so
Here we
American
go.
Warrior Radio.
I'll
American
stop
Warrior
flapping
Radio.
for a
American
minute.
Warrior Radio broadcast from the Silencer Central Studios, the nation's largest suppressor dealer. They're ready to make your silencer buying journey as simple and pain-free as possible. Call them today at 866-640-3270 to get the process started, or visit silencercentral.com. Be sure to check silencercentral.com to confirm if owning a silencer is legal in your state. The Purple Heart is awarded to U.S. Armed Forces personnel who have been wounded or killed while engaging or being engaged by an enemy of the United States. One of our guests today was awarded a Purple Heart during action in Afghanistan. He was also awarded the Bronze Star with Valor. Ironically, as a combat photographer, he became a hero while documenting the actions of other heroes. We're going to hear from him today about that action, but he has another story to tell about another mission he and his wife are about to undertake. They will be traveling across the country to record the stories of 100 Purple Heart recipients or Gold Star families. Stick around. You're not going to want to miss this. Kevin and Lauren Wallace, welcome to American Warrior Radio.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Happy to be here.
So, Kevin, your backstory is you were a surfer dude with bad grades, so you went into the Air Force.
More or less, yes, sir. That's, yep, nailed it.
Well, it's actually more in depth than that. You tell a cute story. You said you were getting ready to compete, I guess, in a surfer competition, and you hurt yourself. Then your dad gave you a camera, so you thought, well, if I can't surf, I'm going to photograph.
Yes, that's exactly what happened. And it was an old 35 millimeter camera, and I went out and photographed the surfing competition that I was not in, and it was not a success story. It was when I saw the aftermath of what I had taken, and it very much was aftermath. Everything was blurry and blown out, and I thought, no, I can't suck at this. So I dedicated myself for a while there to photography, and it actually just never left me. I've been with a camera in my hand, 35 millimeter camera, and I went out. So I dedicated myself for a while there to photography.
Oh, technical difficulties. Sorry about that. Coming back.
That's weird.
Yeah, come back to.
So I think what I had was like 2 rolls
Yeah.
of maybe a black and white ISO 200.
Sorry.
And mind you, I'm shooting through probably,
It's
I
my
don't know,
fault.
maybe total 120 millimeter lens, very slow and primitive technology, rapidly moving surfers on waves. So, yeah, I don't, to make that sort of in layman's terms, it's, well, I don't know. I guess it would be like swinging at a trim nail with a sledgehammer.
Kind of the opposite.
I mean,
but
if you checked in with me, I would have told you that wouldn't work with that speed of film.
panicked.
But irregardless, how did
Still a
you
visual.
then move
Good
from that
visual.
into the Air Force?
Oh wow.
He just
Yeah.
So I came into the Air Force, and it was shoot, it was about 7 or 8 years into the Air Force, and they were looking at jobs
I
that
honestly don't know.
they could contract
Can't
out,
remember.
and they were looking at sort of realigning because the Air Force at the time, probably the first time since they became their own service, was once again assuming a lot of Army jobs, and the Navy was doing the same thing. So the Air Force began looking around and seeing, well, what is not vital to our mission of fly fighting and supporting the ground warfighter mostly at the time. You know, they still had other cargo and other missions, but there were a lot of jobs that could be done by civilians. They learned through these studies, and in those cases, they offered people early outs in some cases. But to be frank, the Army was on stop loss, so it was kind of an ugly thing to say, hey, get out early over here, when over here these guys are being asked to, I don't know, maybe never leave at the point at that time, who knew? But so as all this is going on, the other option was, you know, if we have a job that is closer to the battlefield or more vital to the mission of the flying mission of the Air Force or a sister service branch, because there was a lot of joint operations going on. So I was one of those people, and it was kind of, hey, we've got this job. And I think really it came from, and also a second ideology that, you know, as the American military, our Department of Defense entity, and our, you know, brethren in the Coast Guard, we're never going to be, I don't think, defeated militarily, but we could lose public opinion. And so I was one of those people. They were looking highly at like jobs in public affairs, combat camera, psychological operations. There was a lot of jobs specifically they were looking at, and I don't know. I fell into that group, and
no animal
that
abuse.
forever shifted my focus.
Just
But
saying hi.
I don't know. I mean, for me, it made service so far less about me and more about other people, because I got to see these really cool people from every branch and all these other NATO countries and non-NATO countries doing really cool things. And I got to be there with them when they did it and partake in it, and then later tell the story. And I thought that was just phenomenal.
You say that because that really ties through to what your next mission is going to be. Now, were you in public affairs before that, or did you have a different MOS?
Different MOS entirely. Public affairs did come. Matter of fact, I retired out of the Chief of Public Affairs for the 89th Airlift Wing, which is, you may or not know, is the wing that flies Air Force One and all the other blue and whites out of Andrews. So I did very much later embrace the public affairs career field in all of its capacities. But at first, for me, it was really about the, I guess, the most junior service members closest to, I want to say the fight, but it didn't have to be the fight. Whatever it was that I was there for at the time, the humanitarian effort, whatever it was, but the people closest to the ground is who I tended to focus on. But that's only because I felt like those people oftentimes are the unsung heroes. And I don't know, let's backtrack to one of these deployments when State General Petraeus was running ISAF. He did a phenomenal job, and much respect to the man, but he has people telling his story every day.
Kevin, when we come back, if you don't mind, I'd like to talk about that particular day, that action for which you were awarded the Purple Heart and the Bronze Star with Valor. Just real quick, though, we did have one other very talented photographer on the show, Stacy Pearsall, who was an Air Force combat photographer. I don't know if you heard of Stacy.
Yeah, I know Stacy.
I remember during the interview, she said something that really struck me, because people think, well, you know, combat photography or photographer, but I'll never forget. In fact, I use the quote in my promo reel now. She said, you know, for a while I stopped carrying the Air M4 and just started carrying a sidearm. And if things got bad enough, there'd be plenty of rifles laying around for me to use. I thought of that when I was reading about your awards and that particular action that day, and it just really struck me that everybody contributes to the fight. And
Yeah.
again, I don't think it's
Yeah.
well, somewhat ironic, but really I believe that you what I said in the intro, you became a hero by documenting other heroes. Does that strike you as unusual?
Yes, I don't consider myself a hero, and I'm sure Stacy doesn't either. Although I will tell you, she is one of the strongest, not just women, but airmen and combat photographers alive today, and maybe ever. So, hats off to her. But neither of us probably would call ourselves heroes. The people I liked to, expose the world to, I consider heroes. I think, in my case, I just caught up in situations, and I didn't want to let the people who really were heroes, but I didn't want to let them down and become a liability to them.
Well, and also, when you were deploying, when you were covering this, you were not just, I mean, you were with different branches, right? You might be with, the SEALs one day and MARSOC the other.
Yes, sir. Exactly.
Okay, so and they said it's okay to have an Air Force dude along.
No, not ever, but they learn to love me.
Fair enough. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your host, Ben Bueller-Garcia. We're speaking with Kevin and Lauren Wallace. They've got a great project coming up called Van of Valor. I encourage you to look it up, vanofvalor.com. And when we come back, we're going to talk more with Kevin about that fateful day when he experienced combat again, but really in the most extreme way possible. Don't forget, you can find this podcast and over 600 others at AmericanWarriorRadio.com. Stick around. You're not going to want to miss this.
So to answer you, William, the interview is pre-recorded with out of Tucson with American Warrior Radio, and what they're doing is they're really pushing our mission hard out west. So this is a repeat from last week, and we're doing it Facebook Live so that here on the commercial breaks, which we're currently on, we can discuss. So I'm Kevin. This is Lauren. Together we are starting this Van of Valor, and we're leaving here in about a month. Our most recent press release, but we're leaving here on March 13th, and we're headed out to Fayetteville to interview a couple of Purple Heart recipients and bring some love and support to a recent Gold Star family. And then after that, we're headed down to Summerville, South Carolina, where we have 27 Purple Heart people, 27 in the same town. So lots and lots of interviews there. We want to set up an event for them all or whatever we can do. And that's like a week into our mission. We go down to Savannah and then Waycross, Georgia, with two very recent soldiers killed. So those Gold Stars, and then all through Florida. So 16 places up front in the first, I would say, 2 weeks. So we're about to get really busy. And that's what this interview is about. So those of you who don't know us, that's who we are. I'll stop talking. She's smarter than me. But welcome. You're welcome to introduce yourself in comments and anything as well.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us here. This is our second attempt at doing this. The first one was this morning, and I'm happy that we've at least been able to work through some of the more technical difficulties, and we hopefully all of the sound levels are good for you guys. If they aren't at all during the broadcast portion, please make a message because we can adjust things where this is still very much the learning process.
Yeah.
And thank you for you guys' patience with us.
And as we evolve our technology and can maybe afford to buy something with more interaction, we hope to do this from the road. We're investing in the Elon's Starlink. Thank you. So we should be able to, at some kind of internet speed, talk to you guys from all over the country, because we'll probably be in some very remote places and up in mountains and down in valleys and here and there and in deserts.
So with the Van of Valor project, it's not just about traveling the country and recording these oral histories. There will be a book at the end of it that will be a coffee table style book as you're able to flip through all of the lower 48 states that you can drive to it'll be intermixed with these stories of heroism and patriotism. So as you flip through, you'll be able to just truly see the vastness of this beautiful country and understand the sacrifices that it has made, that people have made to keep us free, keep our freedom free.
Yeah, really excited, and it's some of these guys and gals we intend to interview are, well, age is not working in their favor at this point. I guess is the best way to put it. A lot of the Vietnam ones and before, and sadly, as we begin to develop relationships with these people, we've had to cross 3 off the list. So it's, we are nervous but excited to get out there and talk to these people and capture their stories before they're lost to a period of history that they were thrust into against their will and not treated well afterwards. So those people are really special to us. Okay, from William, I go by the voice of the voice was, I'm a 2-time cause public reach author. To make this easy, if you go on 1821 products, you can follow me and I'll follow you back. Gotcha, William. And I saw earlier, I think you were are you a wounded veteran yourself? You were talking about PTSD in Florida, you said. Oh, we're coming back on.
Oh, coming back.
100 Purple Heart recipients or Gold Star families. Now, Kevin, you yourself were awarded the Purple Heart and the Bronze Star with Valor for some actions one day in Afghanistan. If you don't mind, what you can, tell us about that story.
Absolutely. Well, that mission itself started out on April 3rd of 2011. A team of soldiers, most of them Cav Scouts. There was forward observers, a sapper involved. There was a MARSOC team involved. There was Afghan National Army, but there was multiple components to it. But a team of 12 Cav Scouts' objective that day was to take a set of ruins outside a village, Commissary, in Bala Murghab district of Baghdis province, way up in northwest Afghanistan near the Turkmenistan border. So this valley had become a major drug exploitation route to fund the Taliban and other insurgencies through a lot of unfortunate sacrifice from American and British and other allied forces. We eventually secured a lot of the drug routes out of Helmand and other places in the south. I mean the good people in the world that all chipped in Afghanistan, secured that border.
That's weird.
And they were really limited into where they could get their poppies out and get their money. So they had a few ways in Iran and through Farah province that were highly contested, and these way up in through Bala Murghab, like I said. So our goal was to secure this set of ruins that was out in this field, sort of out in the middle of nowhere, probably about 300 yards in either direction. There were man-dug canals to reroute water out of the Murghab River that ran by to that village. So there was no way to get land vehicles in or out, and this was all known beforehand. It would be a staging a presence at this place and getting some intel into what existed in this village. We knew there was a heavy insurgent presence, but we hadn't had eyes on the ground that far north in this valley yet. Anyway, the night of the 3rd of April, we take those ruins, we establish a little observation post Reaper, like I said. We just 12 guys on foot carrying everything we would have out there for several days. We dug in with our e-tools, and it was pretty cold that night, but we launched several patrols up through the village and with our dog, and I was on, I think, all of those, but just looking for booby traps and also under the cover of darkness, just getting a closer layout of what we had in store the next day. And after I think we were spotted just around sunrise, and they were signaling around the trees and stuff that we were there. So by time of the late morning of the 4th of April, we launched a key leader engagement into the village where we had coordinated with our Afghan counterparts the ability to talk to the village elder, and we proceeded to engage in that. And I don't know, I've been around a lot of these things, and there's a lot you could say about the enemy or any enemy, but one good thing I would say about a lot of these Afghan men who even turned out to be enemies in certain cases was there was a level of respect that they had towards other warriors, and that was completely missing from this meeting. It was very strange to see like the amount of disrespect being shed towards the platoon leader in this case, and there was some higher ups from the intel world that I won't get into all that, but there was other people there talking, and it was a really disrespectful situation where they were like spitting and stuff. So I had seen it, and I knew something was going to go terribly wrong. But I start looking around, and up on the rooftops, there's these little sort of mud kind of structures that some of them are 2 stories high, and they're passing PKMs, like Russian machine guns and things, up onto the rooftop. And I'm telling one of my buddies there, and we're bringing it to the LT and everyone involved in this discussion, like, we got to get out of here. And we go to leave in a route that we had cleared, and the dog Valdo, who we were with, Navy working dog, Petty Officer First Class Valdo, was the dog's name, but was alerted to a booby trap, an IED on this little footbridge we had to go to. So we turn around and leave the only other way we could, which meant running across a field, an open field, for about 400 meters probably, and we had not swept that field for mines or anything else, but it was really the only way out. So we get out. About the time we get out in this field, we start getting fired upon from the back. So it's all of us. I think there was maybe six, seven of us, I think, at the time in that group that get across the field together, and we get back into OP Reaper, where we had some men left behind who were already engaging on our behalf. So the guys back at Reaper were in a firefight sort of over our heads and all around us as we were getting back there. And then we got there, and just a very intense firefight went on for, several hours. I heard from intel later that there was like 110 to like 130 or something Taliban. There was like 12 of us, and we had some support from some other observation posts in the area, but some of it was more or less like, I don't know, like Overwatch support, where we're in an area where they couldn't engage from. So, and that's just due to constraints of some allies there. So I don't really want to talk about it, but one of the support we did have there, they couldn't engage unless they were directly engaged upon. So it seems like on paper we had Overwatch, but in reality we did not.
So no close air support then?
Oh, eventually, yes, yeah. So, yeah, a while into this, they were really dialed on to this little set of ruins that we were fighting from, and we couldn't get out in either direction. It was just too intense. So they were in the canals on both sides. They had moved a bunch of villagers, women and children from the village, in the canal on our western side, and they were firing from those civilians, and the other canal was full of them, and then the whole village in front of us, and there was a village called Kobali that was sort of northeast from there, and they were reinforcing from there. You could see lines and lines of fighters coming to reinforce this. So I don't know what the actual number was. Like I said, I've heard it was in the hundreds, but lines and lines of people coming, bringing heavier weapons than we had, and RPGs and whatnot. So we knew we had to get out of there, and we did have some air support earlier on. First one we had was fighters, and they just came in really close and popped flares. It was once again another near country, and for whatever reason they didn't drop. I don't know. That wasn't my job. I'm not sure what happened, but they did pop flares. They gave us about 10 seconds of calm, and then it returned.
Hold that thought if you don't mind, sir. We've got to take another commercial break. When we come back, I want to hear the rest of the story, because I think clearly the fact that you were awarded a Purple Heart, certainly inspired your next journey that I want our listeners to hear about as well. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your host, Ben Bueller Garcia. Check out vanofvalor.com. We'll be right back.
Okay, so we're back again on a break. Thank you for many of you have stuck with us this long. Next, I know next it's really cool because Lauren starts talking about the Band of Valor, and she's a better speaker than me. I think I have to talk a few more minutes at the beginning. You both met in the... No, William. William was asking if we both met in the Air Force Combat Camera. No, we met after I put all that behind me and was done dealing with a lot of issues I was having. We met on the island that we currently live on, Roanoke Island, out here on the Outer Banks, at a actually at a sushi bar where she rolled sushi, and we met during a trivia event, which is really crazy that the interviewer somehow knew that. So they do deep research.
They do. He addresses that in either the next segment or the one after that. But yeah, I was here doing some ocean research in marine hydrokinetics and being able to utilize our blue economy as a source of renewable energy. And so this little island is 7 miles by 3 miles, and we pretty much know everybody 8 to 80 as soon as you're here. And so it didn't take long, and we eventually brushed wings at a trivia night, and he came up and wrote his phone number on my trivia card, said text or call me, and then he just walked away.
Yeah.
We were on a date 2 days later and have been inseparable ever since, and it's been we're almost on our 4-year anniversary of our first date, actually.
Yeah, and we got married back in September.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really cool. That's a lot about us. Yes, William. William said that she looks very supportive. I don't know if you all can see each other's comments, but William, she is. And you know, I don't want to badmouth anyone out here, but I was in another relationship that wasn't that way, and that makes it so much harder to get your head right when, I don't know. But yes, she's very supportive. Very, very much so. Thank you. So cool to have you guys here. Wish there was a way we could talk. We're going to figure this out.
Yeah, we're going to try to figure this part out so that we can have a dialogue back and forth.
Different platform, perhaps, but...
Yeah. We're figuring it out. Slowly but surely.
So William, sorry. What got you into the subject of PTSD? I know you said you've written 2 books and you're down doing an event in Florida. Do you perhaps have something? I'm not trying to blow you up publicly, but if you or someone that we should perhaps stop by and talk to, based on the mission we're doing, send us a message, privately or out here, whatever you want, brother. But we'll come talk to you. Is that us back?
No, not yet.
Yeah, still commercials.
Yeah. Did you want to talk about this book that we were showing photos out of?
Oh yeah, this book that we were showing photos out of is it's part of the Army wrote it. It's part of the Combat Studies Institute, so where the Army uses to teach soldiers and stuff. Oh, William, you have it. Okay, so chapter, shoot. I don't know, go to page 79. I'm not sure what chapter it is, but when you have it next, page 79 of that book is the actual fight that he's talking about. It was the Army, actually they invested quite a bit in studying it. It was a pretty phenomenal feat. And yeah, it's this whole chapter in the book that's taught in school and stuff. Hey, Lowell. That Lorraine Smith said she thought she was commenting on the wrong feed, but she's here now. That's the very amazing, sister of mine from London, talented artist and huge West Ham fan, and we had a terrible match today, so we're not going to talk about that. Stay positive. Let's talk about PTSD. It's much more positive than West Ham.
Oh my goodness.
Silencer Central today at 866-640-3270 or visit silencercentral.com.
Gotcha.
Cool.
We're talking with
Gotcha.
Kevin and Lauren
Oh,
Wallace.
Here
we're
we're
back
back.
on.
We've got just an amazing project coming up. I tell you, when I first heard about that right away, I think within, I don't know, days of getting the press release,
Yeah.
I reached out and said, look, we got to have you on American
Mhm.
Warrior
It was
Radio.
so cool.
They'll be
He approached
driving
us.
across the lower 48 states, documenting the stories of 100 Purple Heart recipients or Gold Star families. Kevin Wallace, you yourself were a recipient of a Purple Heart before we had to take the break. You were describing this action in Afghanistan. Basically, you and 11 other comrades are facing over 100 bad guys, Taliban,
We
I
had a
assume,
dog.
and things
They don't
weren't
like
going so
dogs.
well.
They got that all wrong.
No, they weren't going so well for us at that point. We had done a lot of damage back at, in their direction. The problem was everything else. We couldn't get resupplied. We couldn't get anything to us, and they seemingly had a pipeline to a village right away that at the time seemed like it was the endless supply of everything. So we were fighting intensely. We were limited in movement, and we eventually got some air support, which helped out tremendously. But for a while there, it was getting really sketchy, and they were dialed onto our position with RPGs, and they were hitting sort of part of the ruins I was in. Was kind of a dilapidated, if you imagine a set of old mud,
Yeah, picture that.
I don't know, Adobe type things you would see out in the
Right
southwestern United States.
You're
But
better at that
eventually
than
are
me.
dilapidated. And so there was only a couple feet of sort of sand to lay behind anyway, but they were hitting it with RPGs and until there was nothing left. And so they were absolutely dialed into the position where I was at with 2 Cav scouts, a dog handler, and a working dog. And as we're yelling, we're already getting our stuff out of this area. We're grouping, we're trying to make a run for the canal on our east. This had already been established, and we had a couple scouts in the canal in their own heavy firefight that we were trying to get to also support because they were trying to clear it for us. But before we make the move, another RPG comes in, and it's like, it's so incredible in that, like, you can see these things. They're moving slow enough where you could see them, but fast enough that, it's not like on the movies where you can shoot them out of the sky or anything. They're coming, and they're gonna come regardless. So it's just, what can you do? And I remember thinking, like, oh heck, a worse word, but it's over for me. And I never liked the fact that I'm a short guy. I'm 5'6", but in this particular day, it was finally revealed to me, while every male in my family is north of 6 foot except me, but this RPG whizzed straight over my right shoulder and hit in a berm of sand behind me. And when it exploded, it peppered the dog, the handler, myself, and the 2 scouts. All of us with shrapnel. It threw me headfirst into what was left of those ruins and knocked me out for a minute. But the most incredible thing for me is, after feeling like, as long as I shorted in life for my brothers and everything else for so many years, it's like, if I were 2 inches taller, it would have been into my shoulder. If I were 6 inches taller, it would have been straight into, I don't know, whatever's opposite my heart, in my chest. But either way, I'm not living.
Kevin, I saw an interview you did where you said it actually singed your beard going by.
It did. It did.
Wow. Now, of the 12 personnel in this outpost, how many ended up being wounded? All of them, or?
It's crazy.
Oh shoot, I don't know. That RPG wounded 5 of us. I think maybe 7 or 8. That unit, not just that platoon, but that troop, which is like a Cavs version of a company. That troop set some kind of record in the Cav world for the most combat action badges. So like combat infantry badges, but in the Army they get Cavs for the Cav guys. But like some, I guess, unprecedented number set in the Cav world on that deployment, which I thought was amazing. This is just one day of the entire deployment, but I mean, that's off to those guys because they were in it deep all the time.
Sure. Well, let's do this. Let's switch to your lovely newlywed wife, Lauren, because Lauren, my understanding is you were also served, correct?
Well, the family technically serves. I was born into an Army family, and so that was my upbringing. But no, I have not put on the uniform myself.
Well, let me ask you this then, because I don't know if it was after you met Kevin or before, but you were responsible for getting Roanoke Island named, I think, is the very first Purple Heart Island in the country. Was it Kevin's story that inspired you to do this, or something else, or all of the above?
Well, it's a mixture of all of the above. We worked an event up in Dayton, Ohio called Blue Skies for Good Guys and Gals, and I heard that somebody else had declared a city in Tennessee. No, it was a city in Kentucky, a Purple Heart City. And so, inspired by all of the stories of heroism and just thinking, well, our little area could do more to be patriotic. So when we got home, I researched the process of adding an entity to the Purple Heart Trail. And so I followed all the paperwork, sent the appropriate emails, made a meeting with the Dare County Board of Commissioners, went before them, and just like how I learned in my civics classes, I performed my civic duty of making a proclamation. And so I declared with all of the whereas and therefores, and I unanimously ratified, and the county finished, they got the sign installed actually 2 days ago. So that was really exciting.
Well, you never know what will come
Yeah.
from love that, happened in a sushi bar. But
It's our
so
story.
now again, I saw this on the internet, so it's got to be true, of
Can't
course.
live that
But
down.
I've heard Kevin say that you're the brains of this outfit, Lauren, selling everything you own in order to drive across the country in a van that already has 300,000 miles on it.
So, well, we're an adventurous couple, and we haven't been always used to the most comfortable of living spaces. For about a year and a half, we lived on a boat, which was like, what would you say, 100 square foot apartment for the both of us, if that. It was over COVID, and there was a housing crisis, and we just couldn't find a place. So we ended up chipping in both of our savings accounts at the time, and we split it in half and got a boat. And we lived on that. So we are used to downsizing to live in small spaces. So once we got access to a condo, I was like, whoa, what do we do with all of this space? It feels like too much. I need to purge. I need to get rid of things. We've acquired too many things. And so then one thing led to another, and we talked about traveling to
sound good.
48 states. And I was on Facebook Marketplace, and I found this super cute van, and I thought, no, I can't suggest it. Oh no, but it bounced around in my mind for over a week. And when we were on our way walking to trivia night one night, I said, hey, I have this crazy idea. You know how we did the boat the one time? Do you want to do a van? And so then the ball just started rolling, and then we put together this project as well as a means of, well, now that we've got a van, what do we do with it? We've got to do something. That's what's led us to here.
Now, did anybody bother to ask Sunny opinions on this?
Well, she's our little traveler. She likes riding in the truck, and she's been on the sailboat with us. She lived in that space with us too. So she's to the small cramped spaces as long as she has her food bowl and can lay out flat to sleep at night. That's her thing.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your host, Ben Bueller Garcia. We're talking with Kevin and Lauren Wallace. They're about to undertake an inspirational journey. They've got a van with 300,000 miles on it. They're working on fixing it up, and they'll be traveling across the lower 48 states, probably adding another 300,000 miles to that already veteran van to document the stories of 100 Purple Heart recipients or Gold Star families. Stick around when we come back. I want to announce they are going to be passing through some of the areas where we have broadcasts, so I'd encourage you to reach out to them. If you've got a story that they need to tell, you can find them at vanofvalor.com. Don't forget, over 600 podcasts at AmericanWarriorRadio.com. We'll be right back.
What about the patriotic music? No, I'm glad, guys, we're finally talking with Lauren, and we're talking about the Van of Valor. This is the part that's got me really excited, but obviously they had to establish, who I am to begin this, which also makes it a unique story. But for us, it's all about them, the people we're telling the stories of. Does anyone have any questions or anything so far? I love Paul Williams said, "Go Lauren." Yes, sir. Go Lauren. She's killing it. And William Stevens may have checked off, but we have to catch up with his books and podcasts, it seems like.
Yeah, I've already pulled up the tabs so that we can research him later.
Okay. And Tyson Walsh is in here. Tyson Walsh, also a Purple Heart recipient. Good to have you here, sir. We will be speaking to him in the near future. The thing is, like, this project is growing legs. It's for the first time in my life, I feel like there's a lot of Vietnam era people wanting to talk. It's like some did, sign up to serve. Some got yanked out to service, but they went there and they did what they had to do. They came back, got treated really badly, and that whole generation, I think, suffered because of it. But suddenly, these men who never talked want to talk, and I think it's incredible. It's
we need to get these stories before
now.
They're gone.
Yeah.
Time is working against us at this time. Oh, that's redundant. Time is working against us at this time.
Flava Flav. I don't know. That's all I got with time, but he's got like 50. Okay.
Cool.
Good job, Tyson. We're gonna do the same thing and check him out. Tyson has been a massive. Like he's actually one of the people we're going to interview, but he has become a massive addition to our effort, and he's brought. I had never considered the active duty population, you guys. Sorry if I'm being a little scatterbrained in what I'm saying, but to backtrack, I hadn't really thought about that element. I thought about the veterans, I thought about the Gold Stars, obviously, and things of that nature, but the active duty never crossed my mind. And then I ran across Tyson. It's like, whoa, okay, this is, and they're still at any moment could be put in harm's way. So it's a whole nother thing. It's like you got the people who've not on the spear yet, and those who have, are still surviving from World War II even.
Yeah.
And then right in near those who are yet to come in, or those serving now, and yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Are we back on?
Almost.
Yeah.
I think we've got one more commercial and then we'll be back. And yes, Paul, we will be broadcasting and having new radio shows all throughout the journey as well.
Yeah. We're going to be blogging in sort of a written format and also video type vlog, I guess, or whatever, but we're going to have those off our site and then through all the social media. And after this, we're going to see if we can find a platform where we could maybe have a little bit more engagement, because there's people who are later in the evening coming in from London and people I dearly love, and I wish I could hear their voices. But I'm just glad to see their names on here.
I think the next time we try to change the platforms, it might be via YouTube, because I believe that you can do watch parties and have commentary from people on that. But we shall see.
Yeah. We're no like experience in this. We're all ground zero, everything from the ground up. But it seems like we're back on, so I'm gonna.
A couple is undertaking a mission, literally, truly a labor of love. They're currently renovating an old FedEx van with 300,000 miles on it, and they're going to drive across the country to document the stories of 100 Purple Heart recipients or Gold Star families, or until their van dies or until they run out of money. A special call out for some of our markets across the country: Tampa Bay, Tucson, Colorado Springs, Salem, Oregon, Long Island, New York, Casper, Wyoming, Rapid City, South Dakota, Norfolk, Virginia Beach. Kevin and Lauren will be passing through your area coming up very soon. If you got a story that you want them to tell or you think they need to hear, please feel free to reach out to them. You can reach them at vanofvalor.com. Lauren, can you just sort of connect with me? I mean, it sounds like you just had the traveling bug. You want to sell the boat, get a van, go out and see the country. But what was the sort of aha moment to connect Purple Heart stories and Gold Star family stories? I know you both are involved in the creative business and media and communicating stories, but was there a particular flashpoint for you?
So while we were up in Ohio last summer working at that event and just seeing the impact that shared trauma has amongst the Purple Heart and Gold Star family communities, I felt the spur inside of me to want to tell their stories. by education and training, I'm a cultural anthropologist, and I'm actually working on my master's in cultural anthropology
Smart.
right now. And this
So smart.
project, in addition to being published as a printed book, will also serve as my ethnographic field research for my master's program.
So now, will these be video interviews, tape recorded, just pen and paper, or all of the above?
Mostly audio and pen and paper.
I'd be happy to also, as we go forward closer to your departure date, just, run some other stuff too. But how many stops are you making across the country? I saw your map and I just couldn't keep up.
Yeah, we have it broken up into 5 segments right now because that was the max on what Google Maps would allow us to connect spots to be. So yeah, we have like states 1 through 13 and then 13 through 22, and like we just chunked it out by 48.
And do you have the interviews already lined up, or you're not just going to drive into town and park by the side of the street and put up a sign, are you?
Oh, no, we have interviews lined up most of the way, and we're continuing to add more. And so that has been like the phone book for this whole project, essentially, because it has everybody listed by location. And so just using that, cross-referencing it with points where we have friends or family members where we can borrow a shower and plug in for the night. With these stories of, like, in Somerville, South Carolina, would you realize that there's 27 Purple Heart recipients living in the same area?
Wow.
I didn't know until I looked at this directory. And I wonder if any of them even know each other has a great story in their neighbors.
I've seen photos of this van. You definitely are not going to be glamping. But if we have some listeners that hear this and say, hey, I've got a story to tell, and they contact you, I assume you don't want that necessarily to be last minute, but can they just shoot you an email at your website?
Absolutely. And yes, we are looking forward to increasing our stories. Like today we were reviewing our analytics, and the 2 states we haven't had any contact from are Wyoming and Vermont.
Why?
I don't
Why
have
do you
a
hate
family
us?
in those states, and I don't
Wyoming,
know anybody, and
Vermont.
that's the only bit our website has not reached quite yet.
I think
Well, I
it's
tell you
me.
what,
It's obviously
we have
not
an
you.
affiliate in
They
Wyoming.
don't like
I'll
me.
reach out to the station there and see if they'd be willing to run some spots for you. See if we can get something going with that. Kevin, I mentioned, basically you guys are selling everything, or maybe not everything, but quite a bit of what you own to help fund this adventure. I don't want to demean it. It's a mission to fund this mission to tell these stories, and that's what we're all about here at American Warrior Radio as well. But how can people help? I mean, if I own a campground and whatever wide spot in the road someplace, and I'd be willing to donate the camping for you, or I mean,
Yes.
how can people help you guys out to make this journey a success?
What you just said, we've been reaching out to campgrounds and state level park agencies. My rating as 100% disabled at federal parks allows me some access, but not the camping. So we've been reaching out in any means we can, levying any way we can. It's not a financial burden on others, and trying to make contacts. We have had 3 financial donations. One came locally here from someone on a school board for $50, and then a former colonel I worked for, and then one other gentleman who I'm actually reaching out to and trying to figure out his story now. But we're always looking for, if anyone was interested in sponsorship, stick a big magnet on the side of the van or wrap it. Heck, I don't care. We're gonna fund it ourselves if we have to. Either way, we're gonna make it happen. But any assistance, people can mail us like a Shell gas, diesel card. Really anything anyone can do to help would be great. We greatly appreciate it.
Gas card, not diesel.
Okay.
What do
Well,
we
yeah,
do
I
with
mean, just the
diesel?
wear and tear on the van. I don't know. It's already got 300,000 miles on it, but I tell you what, we're at our flagship station here in Tucson. I've got a friend who is like the poster child for auto mechanics. He is just a super guy. So maybe when you stop here, we'll have him take your van in and give it a little
Why
bit
did
of
my
checkup.
mind go to
and
Rosie the Riveter?
I'll buy you guys dinner or something.
Definitely
That'll
not
be
a
my
man,
contribution. But
I
at
don't
your
know,
website,
poster
folks
child
can.
for a
I mean, is there a
mechanic.
direct, like a GoFundMe, where folks can just
Anyway.
put in their credit card and
Our
press
website.
send, or?
Yeah, there's a few ways on our website. We were really nervous and have neither of us have had these endeavors, so we wanted to make sure we did it right. So we've gone through like Benevity causes, and there's like a Guide Star charitable one. So there's
And
charitable established ones on our website, and then
Platinum
also there's a
Candid.
link to like a charitable donation through PayPal that comes, and then also directly through our website. There's a way to make donations monthly or or recurring or one time.
And
There
that
you
again
go.
is vanofvalor.com, folks. Kevin and Lauren, we've got just about 3 minutes left, but
I should just let
when are
you should do all
you
the talking.
kicking this off? And
I'll do more.
I hope you were bright enough to not schedule, Vermont in January or Tucson in July.
We're not that bright, and we may be in some of those
Not
places
that
around those
bright?
times, but
Purposeful?
purposefully, we feel we're asking people to dig up a lot from their past and make people comfortable so that the grander public can understand that sacrifice that Gold Star families and those who see combat suffer from. So we honestly want to be uncomfortable for a lot of it. So once again, maybe she wasn't the brains of that. That's a little bit on me, and it's we just don't want to be comfortable during this thing. We want to have fun when we can, and probably once a month we'll check into a hotel so that we could have our mail forwarded somewhere and we could take hot showers. But other than that, we just want to be on the road telling these stories. So
We'll be getting on the road on March 13th,
yes,
Okay.
out here on Yada Dicks.
out of right here in Manio.
And can folks follow your progress at the website?
Yes, we will have a live tracker, so that you can see exactly where we're at and where we're headed next.
I tell you what, when you guys complete this journey, it will be the
Website's almost
testament to one of the best testaments to a strong marriage I can think of. Maybe you might want to do another book on that.
Oh,
Thank you so much.
Well, I really appreciate you all sharing your story with our American Warrior Radio listeners, and by all means, we're here to support you in what you're doing. I just love the idea, and I love the risk and the courage, and just sort of the joy, I would also say, that you all are putting into this, because, I know, Kevin, it's not always, and I'm glad you mentioned about it. You want to be uncomfortable because we didn't get time to talk about it, but your post-service experience with traumatic brain injury and PTSD and some other issues there, maybe we can have you on some other time after you complete your journey to talk about that, because that is absolutely essential, particularly those hidden wounds that most of us civilians or even other veterans can't recognize out there. So we'll continue to tell your story, and send me a text on March 13th when you're leaving town, and we'll keep an eye out for you.
Thank you so much.
thank you so much.
Oh, it's been my pleasure, absolutely. And please consider us a resource. There you go, ladies and gentlemen, another great story that needs to be shared. Please reach
Did you
out to
just
your
say
friends
the
and
flag?
associates and share these important
You just
messages
put
with
it on
them.
the
It's so
screen.
important they hear. Once again, if you're in Tampa Bay, Tucson, Colorado Springs, Salem, Oregon, Long Island, New York, Casper, Wyoming, Rapid City, South
Casper,
Dakota, or
Wyoming.
Casper
Norfolk,
where?
Virginia Beach, reach
You
out
don't
to
wanna
Kevin
know
and
us, I
Lauren
don't
via
know where you are.
vanofvalor.com to see if they can
vanofvalor.com.
get your story or story of someone
Come on,
that
Wyoming.
you know that needs to be told.
Please.
Over 600 podcasts.
We love you.
AmericanWarriorRadio.com. The most
I'll go to a
recent shows
rodeo.
you can download at whatever your platform is, if it's iHeart or iTunes or Spotify, Pandora. We try to be everywhere. If you have a story that we need to tell, please reach out to me. My personal email address is bbg@AmericanWarriorRadio.com, and we'd be happy to talk to you about that. Ladies and gentlemen, until next time, all policies and procedures are remain in place. Take care of yourselves.
All right.
Man,
You turn that off from there.
yep. I just want to let the patriotic music run out. Okay, so hopefully this was good and everybody could hear, and oh my gosh, the support coming through. Thank you. We love you guys so much, and man, like I said, we all the support you're giving us is so big, because we're already some of the people we've talked to. It's like, I don't want to say we've bit off more than we can chew, but there's just a lot of emotion involved in this. So we're going to give it our all, and I'm going to have grayer hair by the end of this mission. Hopefully she does
Same.
not. But I think you guys are in a little bit of a lag, but you're probably hearing the end of the story now. So I don't know. Should we just sit here awkwardly and wait for questions? This lag part is what I wish we could eliminate.
Yeah, I think that can be eliminated via other live stream things.
Yeah. Let's just wait here for a moment and see.
Yeah, Sonny, you're an integral part of the team.
Okay.
Awesome. So
No
there's
lag
no
on your end. Okay, I thought we had lag. Good,
Earlier
good.
today we had a consistent 36-second lag.
Yeah, it was driving us crazy. So you mentioned audio and pen and paper recording, but are you going to use camera to do any video? Yes, good question, Tyson. We are. We are going to use. Thank you, Sonny.
Mascot.
Squirrel, but we are going to use anything available to us. So drones, GoPros, our cell phones. We're both Nikon guys
Nikon
and gals,
cameras.
so we both have DSLRs. Well, actually, they're not. They're not. Mine is a Z. So anyway, digital now. This is what we're doing. So we're going to record everything we can.
Everything we can. I just personally don't have the confidence to say I am going to video record everything, make it full of ready for publication. So that was a little bit of on my confidence on my end. So
yeah, yeah.
This is an ever-growing project of various skills along the way.
And of course, home front sit rep video. Yeah, of course. David, please, we'll come on as many times as often. Our goal when we set out for this, we thought at least 2 in every state. And we thought if we do 100 total in the country, that would give us, all lower 48 states, sorry, and then 2 from DC is what we were thinking. And that would give us 100 total people. And that feels like that idea was miles back because we're already in contact with I think like 140, including people on here. And I don't know, there's a lot of people right now wanting to tell their stories, and I think it's beautiful, and we're going to talk to as many people as we can, just as much as we could afford, and get everywhere we can. We're willing to put our lives on hold. Original, our commitment was a year. We're thinking now even up to 2 if we can do this and finish this, and it'll never finish, but to to have a massive collection of testimony of people throughout the ages who have all served in combat, or the family members, the sons and daughters and spouses who were affected by that service, like deeply, and more deeply than most people can fathom, including myself. So anyway, we want to get this together and hopefully turn, I think a wave of I guess anti-patriotism is already starting to turn, thankfully. But what we don't want to ever happen is personally we really take a big investment in our Vietnam, and some of these guys are just like, when we sit and talk to them, it's just heart-wrenching to hear how they were treated when they came home. And it's, I don't know, we've all heard it. I know we've heard it, but that doesn't mean we should just close our ears to it. Maybe we should just like be uncomfortable and sit in that uncomfortability. And I don't know, this is how we've chosen to address it.
Yeah, and there does not exist a complete and concise list of all Purple Heart recipients. Like, just during this project, we have found that while some might be enrolled in the Military Order of the Purple Heart, which is why they would be in the directory, a lot of Purple Heart recipients that we know personally are not part of the organization. And so it's this roundabout cycle of trying to cross-reference personal stories with the Military Order of the Purple Heart directory, and then with the military Purple Heart Hall of Honor up in New York, because they are currently the most concise and complete list and referenceable. You can Google, if you have a name, then you can Google, or you do their little search, and it'll come up with everything that they have recorded for their for that particular person. And so I feel like through this project, we are able to at least attempt to fill in the gaps of this list.
Yeah, and David, so if you're ever up in that area, it's near, very near West Point, but up in the Hudson Valley of New York. If you're ever in that area, definitely go, because our mutual friend, Gunny Sam Deeds, they have a whole display on him, which is really cool. Well, actually, it's on all of you, because it's about, Sam's a lot like me. He just likes to deflect the attention outward on the men that he served with, and you know it shows. So you need to check it out. You need to check it out if you're up there. Either way, find a way to get up there. Check it out. So it is so cool to see so many people out there doing, I don't know, so much good work, so much patriotism. And,
especially coming in on this 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. America 250 next year.
Gunny is awesome. Gunny is awesome. I can't wait to talk to you guys soon. So, is anyone, I mean, should we continue or should we sign off? We've got people on here. I'm good to stay. Otherwise, we will be back on tonight in 4 more hours, I think. Yeah. In Minnesota or somewhere? Or somewhere out west.
Somewhere.
Yes.
We'll know it before.
Sorry, guys. It's, oh my God. Cool. All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, and I
from
hope
London.
you got
We love
to
you both.
see that your painting is very prominent in our living room, and we see it every single day. Thank you so much.
Inspirational.
Inspiration.
Thank you, guys, and thank you for following this. Okay, guys. I guess we're all good. We're gonna sign off here. Thank you
for letting us take an hour of your time today. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and those who we're already in contact with, we're going to do good work together. We're super excited, and you guys are awesome. And those few that we've met above today, looking forward. You're going to hear from us soon. We're looking forward to hearing back from you. Bye. Have a good dinner, guys. We're going to sign off, too. Take care.